Can you see my screen? Okay. So when you log into JobsEQ, you can come to this homepage here, and all of the data within JobsEQ are grouped into different analytics, and then those analytics are grouped into different sections on this My Tools page. You can also adjust this to a grid view or a list view, depending on what you prefer. So I'll go through the different sections here on this My Tools page, and then we'll get into some of the specific analytics that can be helpful for you. So we have the demographics section, which has some different demographic information like age, gender, race, ethnicity, if you're interested in that. We also have the education section, which has some information about post-secondary institutions and within your region, as well as the war data and skill information, and also training and retraining. We also have the industry section. So if you were looking at data by industry, such as employment or wages by industry within your region, you can check out these analytics. We also have the occupation section, which has some different analytics that has employment and wage and demand data for different occupations within your region. Then we also have the reports section, which has some different ready-made reports that you can download as a PDF or a Word document. And that pulls a lot of different information from several analytics in JobsEQ. So if you are wanting just a lot of information about a topic like a program or an occupation or just the economic overview of the region, you can start with these reports and then dive a little bit deeper into the other data with these other analytics. So I won't have time to cover everything in this hour, but I will try to cover some of those analytics that might be helpful for your needs and the data that you normally pull. But before I get into some of that data, I do want to uh, create a region that consists of a few different counties that might consist of your service region or the region that you're looking for. So we want to create a custom region that contains that group of counties or contains that group of zip codes that you're interested in. And to create a custom region or any kind of customizations, you can go to this custom section here on the left side, left window bar here. And this is where you can create different customizations. So you can create a custom region. You can also create custom occupation groups, custom program crosswalks as well. Now use the region to create a custom region. And then here will be the regions that were either shared with you or the ones that you hadn't created. But I'll click new to create a new custom region. Then I will name this custom region. You can also share this custom region with other people on your JobsEQ license by clicking on the Share This Region box. So if you and your team members are working on a project together, want to use the same custom region, you can just click on the Share This Region box. And once you create and save your custom region, your team members would just have to type in the name of the custom region into an analytic to be able to use it too. We also have the custom region status, so that is set on draft mode until you click save, and then it'll change to ready. Or unless you use the block region resolution, then it might take a little bit more time to save that, and it will tell you the status of your region too. Then we also have the region resolution here, and that's the building blocks for your custom region. So if you wanted to create a custom region based on counties, you can use the county region resolution. And you can see counties in this map. You can also create a custom region that consists of ZICTAs, which stands for zip code tabulation area, and it's similar to zip codes. So if you wanted to create a custom region based on zip codes or ZICTAs, you can choose this region resolution as ZICTA. And then we also have the block region resolution since you have JobsEQ Pro. So here you can create custom regions based on a group of census blocks. I'll go back to county region resolution so I can build a region based on counties. And then there are 6 different options for creating custom regions here on the left-hand side of the map. So you can click to select them. So if I click a few of these, my custom region would consist of these 3 counties or this entire shaded region if I save this. You can also type them in with the type region option. Uh, so here I can add a couple more. Uh, like Dauphin County or Franklin, Huntington. So you can keep adding counties here depending on the service region that you wanted to look at or your specific region. So if we wanted to look at that South Central Pennsylvania region, we can add some different counties here. So I'll add Lebanon County, Mifflin County. And then I have one more. So
Jessica, do we have access to non-Pennsylvania data?
yeah, so you have concierge access which would be the entire United States. So you can find data for the entire United States too.
Perfect. Thank you.
So this is what I found for the South Central Pennsylvania area. Does this look okay, or do we want to remove some counties or add some counties in?
I think that's probably pretty good.
Okay, so I'll rename this, save this. So then we can use this in analytics throughout JobsEQ. So if we wanted to look at the employment and wages and demand for occupations for this entire shaded region, that's why we want to create custom regions rather than having to look up each specific county at separately. But I do want to show you another option, couple of options that are available if you are interested in those. So I'll go to a new custom region. Another option is to create a custom region based on a radius. So if you think that your students are going to be in a 45-mile radius from your school and you wanted to focus on that region, you can do a 45-mile radius and then enter an address, latitude and longitude, or just click a point on the map for that central location. So I can add the address. So 1871 Old Main Drive, Shippensburg, Pennsylvania, 17257. Click run. So this shows the 45-mile radius from the point I selected, so that address of your school. But if we do use this radius option with the county region resolution, any county that touches or intersects this circle will be included in entirety in the custom region. So all of this county will be included, and all of this county will be included, and all of this county will be included. So it could be a little bit bigger than the circle we had created. But if you wanted to make this a little bit more granular, you can also use the ZICTA region resolution. Now, any ZICTA that touches or intersects the circle will be included in entirety in the custom region. Since you have block region resolution, you can also make this more granular and get it down to the census block level. So now any census block that touches or intersects this circle will be included in entirety in the custom region. So depending on the granularity, you can choose the county, ZICTA, or the block region resolution. Then we also have the drive time option. So if you think your students are going to be in a 45-minute drive time from your school, you can enter a 45-minute drive time and then enter the address or latitude, longitude, or just click a point on the map for that central location. And then you can also choose the time of day here for your drive time. So you can choose a peak commute time or non-peak commute time for your drive time. You can also use the average time of day. So if you want to just focus on the 45-minute drive time from your school and the demand for different occupations for that region, you can do that as you can use the drive time option. And again, if the region resolution is county, any county that touches or intersects this orange spot will be included in entirety in the custom region. So there are different options if you wanted to look at a group of counties versus rather than a specific county or a specific MSA or state. But if I go back to the region I have already created, once you create a custom region, you can also click on Region Preview to see the region you'll actually be drawing data from when you use it in Analytic. So this can be helpful for the radius option or the drive time option to see what counties or ZICTAs or blocks will be included in the custom region. Then you can also click Run Analytics to see some different analytics that you can run with custom regions. So this is a quick way to move to different analytics after you have created a custom region. I will use this in an analytic, but is there any questions right now with creating custom regions? So once we have created custom regions, we can use those in analytics throughout JobsEQ. And there are different analytics that you might be interested in. So the first one I want to show you is occupation snapshot, which can be helpful for just looking at the demand for those occupations, which can be helpful for program review or just being able to see what occupations are in demand. An occupation snapshot is in the occupation section of the All Tools page or on the My Tools page. And once you go into the analytic, you can also click on these three horizontal lines if your query window isn't open yet. You can also click the lock icon to lock this window in place if you want to. So here you can choose different regions to look at. So if you wanted to look at a specific county like Cumberland County or a specific region like an MSA or a state or a zip code or even a city, you can enter that region here. Or you can also look at custom regions. So to use a custom region, just type it into the region box. So we can use this throughout JobsEQ, including the occupation snapshot. Then we can also look at different occupations. So if you wanted to focus on a specific occupation or occupation group, you can enter that occupation or occupation group here. You can also use total all occupations to see all of the occupations within the region. Or you can also choose different occupation groups that are pre-built within JobsEQ. And to explore those different occupations, you can click on the magnifying glass on the right-hand side of this occupation box. So here you can explore different occupations that are available with the stock occupation section. And if you click on any of these arrow icons, it will get more and more granular. So you can select different occupations here. We can also look at those occupation clusters, which will be occupation groups that are pre-built within JobsEQ. That includes some different CT or career technical education clusters. We also have for example, the bachelor's degree BLS group, and this will provide all the occupations that have a typical entry-level education as a bachelor's degree. So if you wanted to look at all occupations that have a typical entry-level education as a bachelor's degree, you can use this bachelor's degree BLS group, which can be helpful for exploring new occupations that have this specific education level. We also have green job groups and remote job groups, such as frequently remote or occasionally remote. Also white collar, blue collar service occupations too. So you can choose some of those groups. We also have the option to look at occupation groups related to programs, which can be helpful for the program review. So if we wanted to look at, and also career services as well. So if you wanted to look at a specific program, such as like the computer software engineering, you can type in computer software engineering, and the occupation groups with program in front of them are occupation groups related to specific programs. So these are occupations linked to this program and are a sip decide crosswalk. So there's a lot of different options you can choose from. Is there a specific occupation or occupation group we wanted to look at, or should I just choose one like this computer software engineering group?
Yeah, that's fine. That group's fine.
Then you can also choose a stock level to look at. So are you very familiar with stock codes?
Fairly familiar. I know
If
that as so the smaller the number, the more broad category.
Yes, exactly. So if you're not familiar with stock codes, SOC stands for Standard Occupation Classification, and as Stephanie mentioned, uh, the most detailed occupation level is at that six-digit SOC level, and those six-digit SOC codes are grouped into five-digit codes with similar characteristics. Those five-digit codes are grouped into three-digit codes, then those three-digit codes are grouped into two-digit codes. So the two-digit SOC codes are those broadest groupings of occupations, and the six-digit level is the most detailed. So I'll choose that six-digit SOC level to see the detailed occupations linked to this computer software engineering program. Then I'll click Run to run this. There's a lot of different information you can find here about those occupations linked to this computer software engineering program. So here we can see some career pathways from this program to these different occupations. Um, and the occupations linked to that program are in the rows, along with their corresponding stock codes. Then we can also see a lot of information about those occupations in the columns here. And those columns are broken into three sections. So the current section, the historical section, and the forecast section. So first column is the current employment. So here, if we're looking at software developers, there's 4,706 software developers working within this region, the service region that we had created. And if we scroll all the way down to the bottom, we also have the total all occupations row to show the data for all those occupations together. So there's over 1 million people working in any occupation within the region. You can also see the wages for each of these different occupations so if you're looking at students, you can see what types of wages they might be getting for these different occupations. And here you can choose between the mean and median wages to look at. You might also be interested in looking at the unemployment and unemployment rates for each of these occupations. So we can find them here in this unemployed and unemployment rate columns. So for software developers, there's 182 software developers that are unemployed living within the region. And the unemployment rate is 2.6 for this occupation, which is a little bit lower than for software quality assurance analysts and testers. We can also find some of the current demand for these occupations with this online job ads column here. So this shows the number of online job ads that were active in the last 30 days for each of these occupations. So if we click on one of these blue numbers, we can see those specific job postings. So we can see the job titles, the employers of those job postings, the locations of those job postings, when it was posted, if it's still active on the website, when it was removed from the website, and then any wages that were pulled from the job postings. We can also take a deeper dive into these job postings by clicking on this job title. And then here we can see that job description. And if it is still active, you can click View Original to view the original job ad and apply to. So this is where you can see a little bit of information about those job postings, but we do have a lot more information about or from job postings, including what skills are being requested or what employers are looking for those skills. And that we can all find in another analytic called RTI, which I can show you in a little bit. But this just provides a little bit of a snapshot here, along with some of the other occupation data. We also have the historical section, so you can see how those occupations and employment for each of these occupations have changed over time in the past. So here we can look, this is a 5-year history, but you can change the number of years you view with the historical years section in the query window, and you can choose between 1 and 10 years for this. So if you want to change that, you can change to the number of historical years, but I'll just keep this with 5. So for software developers, the employment has increased by 250 workers over the last 5 years for the region for the software developers. And the historical annual percentage change is 1.1%. Whereas for engineering teachers post-secondary, it's dropped a little bit over the last 5 years overall. But we can also see whether these occupations are forecast to be in demand with the forecast section here. And right now, this is a 1-year forecast. We can change the number of years you view with the projection years section in the query window. You can choose between 1 and 10 years for this too. So if you wanted to see a little bit further out into the future, you can change this to 5 or 10. I'll just keep this with 1 for now. So we can see the total forecast demand for each of these occupations. So for software developers, 286 new software developers are forecast to be needed to be trained in the next year for this region to fill the need for this occupation. And the total demand column is the sum of the next 3 columns, exits, transfers, and employment growth. So exits are the forecasted demand just due to people leaving the workforce, but things like retirement, so for going back to school and leaving the workforce, or raising a family and leaving the workforce. Transfers are the demand in new workers due to workers changing major occupation groups, like moving from a software developer to a construction worker. So there's very large occupation changes, and this would be the number of people that are forecast to be needed to be trained to backfill those positions. And we also have the employment growth column. So here we can see whether these occupations are forecast to grow or decline in the next year, in this case, for the region. So it looks like all of these occupations are forecast to grow in the next year. Then we can also see the forecasted annual growth rate here too, to see which occupations are forecast to grow the fastest or decline the fastest. For any of these, such as occupation snapshot or these other analytics, you can also export them. So you can export the data to Excel, Word, PDF, or an image if you do want to share this with other people, including other faculty members. And I know I went through a lot of different terms here, pretty quickly. So if you do have questions with what any of these definitions are, you can also click on the question mark icon at the top. We do have a video tutorial here if you're interested in that. We also do have this help documentation section and this help section. So if we click on this help documentation, this will be specific to the analytic you're in. And here we have a description of the analytics, in this case, occupation snapshot, as well as some technical notes for sources of the data. And then we also have a description of each of these columns here. So if you do have questions with what any of these definitions mean, you can also check that out here too. Or you can also ask somebody within Chimera a question. So economists or mathematicians in Chimera a question if you do have questions using the live chat feature too. Um, but an occupation snapshot can be a really great way to just look at the different occupations within your region that you might be interested in and seeing the unemployment and wages and demand for those occupations too. But any questions with occupation snapshot? Uh, so I did mention a little bit about RTI, where you can find a lot more information about job postings, which can be really helpful for looking at that workforce development or career aspects. So RTI is in the big picture section of the My Tools page. And RTI stands for real-time intelligence because this is updated daily. And this provides a lot of this provides a lot of information about um, the uh, from job postings, including what skills are in demand and requested, and what employers are requesting those skills. So here you can enter different regions and also enter different job ad statuses. So if you just wanted to look at the job ads that are currently active right now, you can use the currently active job ad status. Or you can also look at the job ads that were active during time period, newly posted during time period, or closed during time period. So if you wanted to look at the job ads that were active during time period, you can also choose a time frame to look at. So you can look at the job ads that were active within the last 12 months, last 3 months, last 30 days. You can also look at a specific year if you want to. Or you can also choose your own time frame with these calendar icons for the start time frame and the end time frame. Now just look at the job ads that were active within the last 12 months. You can also add some different filters here. So if you wanted to look at job postings for a specific occupation or occupation group, we can enter that here. So I would keep with that same occupation group, which is that computer software engineering. Or you can enter a specific occupation if you wanted to look at that specific occupation. You can also add some more filters here. So if we want to just look at a specific education level, you enter a filter for the education level. And if we just want to look at job postings that either don't specify an education level or specify a bachelor's degree, we can look at those education levels as well. Then we can click Run to run this. So this will show the job postings that meet all these filters here on the right-hand side. And we can see those job postings broken down by occupation here. And again, if we click on these blue numbers, we can see those specific job postings, including those job titles, employers, locations, the start date or when it was posted, and if it's still active on the website or when it was removed from the website, and then any wages pulled from the job postings. This can be also helpful if you are working with students and wanting to share job postings with them. You can also export this to Excel, Word, or PDF. And if you do export it, it includes everything from the table, but it also includes a couple other columns, including this URL column. This URL column, it doesn't require a JobsEQ login, and it will take you to that job description. So if you are wanting to share this with students, these job postings with students, this is an option to be able to share them directly with students too. And we can also see the job postings broken down by location here, company. So which company is requesting and posting these job postings? So things like TE Connectivity, Deloitte, Web Restaurant Store, the Hershey Company are all looking for people uh, within this software engineering occupations. I also see it broken down by job title, hard skill, and soft skills. So these are some different skills that are being requested by employers through their job postings. So if you are wanting to develop new skills, these are some different skills, trainings that might be helpful. Things like computer programming, coding, SQL, Microsoft Azure, communication, being cooperative, project management. I also see the industries for the companies that are posting these job postings, experience levels that are being requested, education levels that are being requested, programs, so those are post-secondary programs being requested by employers for these job postings, as well as certifications here too. So if you are wanting to develop new programs or new trainings for related to certifications, here's some different certifications that are being requested by employers. Then also the job type. So whether they're full-time or part-time, they're remote or they don't indicate as remote. If you're just wanting to look at the skills that are in demand for the region, you can take off these filters here and just look at all the job postings for the region that were, for example, active within the last 12 months. And we can see what skills are being requested for job postings for the region. Also, if you are wanting to look at a specific skill, such as um, you do SQL. If you're looking at a specific skill and you wanting to develop a training program for the skill, such as SQL, you can add a filter for that skill. Click Run. This is within RTI. And here we can see the job postings that are requesting this skill. So we can scroll back up to the companies table, for example, to see some different companies that are requesting this skill in their job posting. So if you're wanting to reach out to specific employers, if you're wanting to develop a training program for SQL, some different companies include Deloitte, CVS, the Hershey Company, Capital Blue Cross. And also scroll up to the occupation table to see some different occupations that might benefit from this training program as well. We also have at the top this line chart here, so you can see how the number of job postings has changed over time for all these filters, the job postings that meet all of these filters, to see if it is becoming more in demand or less in demand as seen in job postings. And there is a lot of different information you can find here. So we do have a help page for RTI that provides a lot more information about RTI and the information you can find from job postings as well. But in RTI, you can find what employers are hiring, what skills are being requested, um, and what certifications are being requested, as well as the specific job postings for the region too. But any questions with RTI? So RTI can be really helpful for all of you, but like especially with workforce development or looking at career services, this can be really helpful too. We did want to look at whether there's gaps in those skills. We also do have another analytic called skill gaps. Skill gaps looks at the skills that are being requested in job postings or job openings compared to the skills that are being listed in resumes or online profiles for candidates. So I'll just look at the total all occupations, but you can specify a specific occupation if you wanted to. And here on the left-hand side, this is the supply deficit. So there are more job openings or job postings that request these skills than there are candidates who have these skills within the region, or at least specify these on their uh, profiles, their LinkedIn profiles. So things like hospitality, food preparation, manufacturing, CNA, Microsoft Excel, forklift. These are also all different skills that you might be interested in developing training programs for if you wanted to close that gap. Whereas on the right-hand side, there's a supply surplus. So there is uh, more candidates list the skill in their online profiles than there is job postings that list the skill and request the skill. So you can see this in this chart version, or you can also change this to the table display type. And here you can see the number of candidates versus the number of openings to see where these gaps are coming from as well. And you can also see a lot more skills in the top and bottom 10. If you were wanting to develop a program, for example, if you wanted to look at this welding program or this welding skill and wanting to develop a training program for this welding skill, we can also change the query type to occupation and enter a specific skill here, like welding, to see the occupations that might benefit from this welding skill training program. So here on the left-hand side, for example, this is where there is a supply deficit. There's different occupations that have a supply deficit for this welding skill. So things like welders, cutters, solders, and brazers, mobile, heavy equipment mechanics, maintenance and repair workers, industrial machinery mechanics might all benefit from this welding program and the welding training program. So if you're looking for different occupations that might benefit from a specific training program, the skill gaps occupation query type can be really helpful for that as well. If you are wanting to see if there's any kind of gaps in skills, skill gaps can be really helpful too. But any questions with skill gaps? I do want to show you a couple other features that are available. Um, and also related to gaps, we also do have a word gaps analytic. The word gap analytic looks at the awards and graduates that are produced by post-secondary institutions within your region compared to the demand for these occupations. So this can be helpful for the program reviews. Uh, so here on the left-hand side, the supply deficit. So there is more demand for these occupations than there is graduates that are produced by post-secondary institutions within your region. So things like general and operations managers, medical and health managers, lawyers, elementary school teachers, accountants, and auditors, there's a supply deficit for. So we do have a programs for these occupations. This could justify the need for those programs. You can also, if you're wanting to develop new programs, these are some different programs you might be interested in. Whereas on the right-hand side is a supply surplus. So there's more graduates that are produced by post-secondary institutions within your region than there is demand for these occupations. But this does treat the region as an island. So if no graduates were coming in and no graduates were leaving, this would be where there's some supply deficits or supply surpluses. But as you know, there's some graduates that do leave the region. So this might not match exactly what you are seeing because some graduates are leaving the region. So you can see it by occupation. You can also see it by program as well. So if you wanted to see which programs have some supply deficits within the region, you can check the type of program. And here this will show the programs that have some supply deficits and also show it by uh, award level as well. So this is another way to justify some of your current programs or possibly see some new programs that you may want to add to your curriculum. And you can also, for any analytic, you can also click on the column header to sort any of these from highest to lowest or lowest to highest too. So award gaps can be really helpful for looking at where there's any gaps between the number of graduates versus demand for different programs or occupations. But any questions with the word gaps analytic? I also did want to show you a report. So we do have these reports here in this report section. So if you're just wanting a lot of information about a topic like an occupation or program or the economic overview of the region, you can start with these reports. So I'll go into this education report, which can also be helpful for program reviews. Here on the right-hand side, you can specify the region as well as the crosswalk type. So whether you want to use our standard crosswalk or SIP-to-STAT crosswalk that we have in JobsEQ or create your own custom one. You can also choose a specific program here. So if we wanted to look at that computer science, computer software engineering again, we can. Or another specific program that you wanted to review. And also choose the wage type here as mean or median, also the file type as a PDF or Word document. And then on the left-hand side, we can also specify the sections that you want to see within your report. We'll also move them around by clicking and dragging. You can also add your local information in the coverage sheet if you want to, and to add that to JobsEQ, just click Edit Add Company Info. And then we can click Run to run this. This will go to this export section at the top, and depending on what else is in the queue in front of your report, it might take a little bit of time to run, but while you're waiting for it to run, any of these reports to run, you don't have to stay on that page. So you can go to other analytics if you want to, you can even log off if you want to, and it'll still run in the background for you. And then once it's ready to download, there'll be a red dot with a number in it, letting you know that it is ready to download. But while we're waiting for it to download, I also just mentioned some other analytics here. So if you do want to look at a lot of information about a specific occupation, you might be interested in the occupation report. Um, and if you are looking at some historical data, like the number of awards historically, you can also use Data Explorer. Data Explorer lets you be able to create different tables uh, for different regions, several regions at once, as well as looking at historical award data. We can also find the award data in the awards analytic as well. So it looks like this report is ready to download because there is a red dot next to this export symbol. So I can click to download it. And here for this report, we have the title page here. And this is where your logo information would go if you wanted to add that to your report. We also have a definition for this specific program, as well as the awards for this program broken down by different school. So you can see the different schools within your region that have this program and are conferring awards for this program. This is for the 2023 to 2024 academic year, which is the latest available from the NCES. Then we also have the occupations that are linked to this program. And this is based on our crosswalk, but you can also create your own crosswalk as well. And then you can also see the education and training requirement and educational attainment for these occupations and definitions for each of these occupations linked to that program. And also occupation information from Occupation Snapshot, including the demand for each of these occupations linked to that program. Employment by industries, so for occupations that are linked to that program, which industries they work in. Geographic distributions for people who work in those occupations. We also have the demographic profile here, so you can see some demographics for residents of your region that you specify. RTI data, then that's everything from RTI, including what skills and certifications are being requested. Also a regional map here, so where you're drawing the data from. Region definition for which counties are included or ZICTAs are included. And also some frequently asked questions here for some of the terms in the report. So if you are wanting a lot of information about a specific program, especially for program reviews, this education report can be really helpful. And this is something that you could just download and then share directly with faculty members as well. But you can also find a lot of other information in these other analytics. I know we're getting close to the end of our hour, so I do want to mention a couple of features that are available for help as well. So we do have the live chat feature, so you can ask an economist or mathematician an intramural question. The chat hours are 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time, but even if it's outside those hours, you can still type in your question, then we'll get back to you the next business day by email. So you can ask a lot of different questions here, like where can I find this data? Is this data available? What do the terms mean in this report or in this analytic? Or any other types of questions, and we can help you quickly get an answer to your question. We also have the search bar at the top if you do want to search for things, like if you are searching for uh, job postings. It will give you some different analytics that can be helpful for job postings like RTI. And then again, we also do have the question mark icon at the top where you can find some video tutorials or help documents for JobsEQ. If you click on the help documentation when you're on the My Tools page, you can find the general info page where you can find some information about navigation, some data note sources here, methodology notes. Then we also have the video library section here. That includes all the video tutorials that we have in JobsEQ, including getting started with JobsEQ. So I know we went through a lot of different information here in this hour, but do you have any questions or anything else you want to go over today?
No, this is really helpful. Thank you, Jessica.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Jessica. I can attest to the live chat. I think you've helped me out a lot, Jessica,
Mhm.
with so many different requests. So I appreciate that. I like how you went through whenever, especially whenever we were going through the RTI analytic and just going through all of the different filters that we can set on the left hand, on the right hand side for us specific to like whatever like we're looking for. I think that that's really helpful. Um, I also found out that we didn't get to touch base about it much today, but like with the employer database, I found out that we have an allotment of credits to use. And so I mean us on our side, we kind of need to strategize how we're going to utilize them. But I didn't know if maybe JobsEQ would consider. Um, I I don't know how to say this, but I mean, we were looking for some employers within specific industries, but just for their contact information and not all of the vast data points that kind of come with that. I didn't know if maybe JobsEQ would consider maybe a slimmed down version of an employer database that would just be contact information only without having to use up the credits. We were particularly looking for like the executive director or like an HR point person with maybe like their email and a phone number just to contact them directly. So just a suggestion for the future.
Yeah, definitely. I'll add that as a feature request. And as you mentioned, you would have to export these to be able to get the contact information from employer database. Uh,
Yep.
but I'll definitely add that as a feature request to see if we can have just that contact information without having to use those credits too.
Thanks.
Uh, Another feature that is available is resume forensics, where you can find, if you wanted to, you can find specific people. Since you have the profile version, if you click on these online profiles, you can see the
Hmm.
people. And then if you click on any of these people, it will take you to their LinkedIn page. So if you add some filters, the filters are very similar to the filtering that you have in RTI. But if you want to add some filters here, uh, you can filter it down to maybe look at HR or CEOs, such as using the occupation filter. I think there is a CEO. There's a CEO of occupation and the management occupations.
Hmm.
So you can filter it down and then just look at those specific online profiles too. That is another option to get contact information, but I'll definitely add that employer database slimmed down version as a feature request too.
Thanks.
Mm.
Cool.
But any other questions right now?
I
Okay,
don't think so.
so definitely, uh, once I get the link back for the training or for the recording, I will send that out to you. And also for Tracy, I will uh, ask Jason Roundtree to reset your password, and he should be reaching out to you too. Um, but hopefully this helped you learn a little bit more about JobsEQ, and feel free to reach out if you do have questions through live chat. You can also email me if you want. We can also set up another training session, maybe later if you do want to go over some more information about JobsEQ as well.
That'd be
Uh,
great.
if there's nothing else, I just hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you have a great holiday too.
Thank you, Jessica. You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jessica.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.